Is this okay, or do you want me to use the microphone? Microphone, okay. We are going to begin here. We now have a quorum of presidents in the room. We have a president emeritus who I've lost. Where did you sit down, Dr. Andreasen? Somewhere in this room. And then the current president, Dr. Andreasen, hello again. And the future president may be in this room. It's unclear to us at this time. And speaking, some of you are watching us online, and seeing Dr. Andreasen reminded me that in a small, intimate basement in Nanaimo, Canada, 2 years, 3 years, some time ago, I sat peering very intently at a computer screen, and Neil Zarek said, "I'm out of here." And so I'm glad to see you here in person, because I missed that day. It's nicer to see you face to face. Anyway, we're very glad you're here. It's been a huge summer, as you all know. Many of you are at the Teachers Convention with a few million of our closest former colleagues and friends. We had students coming through all summer long. I think I saw Jerry Cheese somewhere. Between some students from partner universities in China and from Samyuk University. There's about 100 students just between those two programs. The marching bands were here, doing flags in the driveway, if you saw that. And as Dr. Luxton will speak, so I'll not try to give this part of her speech other than to give this preview, several of us, as you heard from Dr. Knight this morning, spent a lovely weekend together talking about the future of Adventist higher education. And I'm here to tell you that other than some new acronyms that are hard to pronounce, some of it is still unclear. Although I believe that this particular event will now be called the nation state of the university. And I'm not sure what that means politically, but it's in line for Andrews. Because one of the, I'll tell you one acronym. One acronym was AUSNA, which is AUSNA. Dr. Andreasen, do you know how it's pronounced? He did not come up with that name, but some group came up with it. And I thought for a while that it meant Adventist University System of North America, but by the end of the weekend, it was clear that that is not what it meant. What it will mean, we'll find out more later, and we need to pray about that. Anyway, here's our agenda for now. I'm welcoming you right now. I'm about to pray, and we're going to do some introductions of some people and kind of some new structures. Dowry always visits with us about the United Way at this time, and Dr. Luxton has her intergalactic 3D chess update to tell you about, as well as the state of our university. Let's bow our heads for prayer. Heavenly Father, we are thankful to be gathered in this room among friends, among old friends. Our friend Neil Zarek, who guided us as a university for so many years. It's good to see him again and to hear him tomorrow morning and throughout the weekend. We're thankful, too, for the day, for this day where we hear from our president about what you are calling and inspiring us to do as we move into a new school year, even amidst challenging times. What are the clear and amazing and irresistible opportunities that are before us? Bless us all as we return to our different assignments, as we continue the assignments we've been doing all summer. And especially, we want to pray for these young men and women who are coming for the first time, who are coming back. Some of them aren't so young anymore, but they're all on a journey to define and fulfill your calling for their lives. And so we want to pray for them and pray for the great privilege of walking alongside them as they do that. In thy name, amen. So the longest part of my conversation or my presentation is this. Darcy De Leon, close, sir, is our new Human Resource Director. You may have read about him in Agenda, and if you haven't read Agenda, Jillian would like to remind you to read Agenda. Now, there's some confusion about his name. It is not, for those of you who know movies, it's not DeLorean. He is not, as far as we know, related to Ponce de Leon, who apparently discovered the Fountain of Youth 14 years after his death. And for those of you who are Jane Austen fans, this is Darcy, but it's not our Darcy. So to review, not DeLorean, not DeLeon. This is also really key. Some of the systems will want to stick it together, but to honor the proper spelling system from Uruguay, which beat Brazil, I'm sorry to say to any Brazilians in the room, which beat Brazil in 1952, and they're still really anguished about this in Brazil, and Uruguay's not anguished, but Brazil is. Anyway, if you can't see him in the front row, I'll have him stand up, but here's his professional portrait. Darcy, welcome, and we're glad you're here. And I know we've just said hello to him right now, but you can also say hello to him next Tuesday. Treats are involved, I believe, up on the 3rd floor of the administration building. Ombudsperson, I told Linda she was going to be famous. Look, they're all right here, the ombuds people. These used to be ombudsmen in all our documents. So you find some places where it'll say ombudspersons, ombudsmen, as though we still need to see the men. But these are the ombudspersons, and if you've not met them before, these are the people who, especially if there's a challenge, a difficulty to work through, they are your voice, your representatives. For the students as well, right? So they have a big and awesome spiritual caring opportunity, a way to sort through things when there's difficulty and confusion. So if you need an ombudsperson, these are them. And Ruben's beard is a little bit shorter right now, but he still is extremely handsome. Also, it's Throwback Thursday if you're on Instagram. If you're Dominique, it's Thoughtful Thursday. And Wellness Transformation. So we did a transformation video with Jackie, who's sitting right in front of you. She will sign your autograph later. But University in Health and Wellness, you may remember, is the name that began this journey with buildings and with the kind of focus and portfolio of Dominique. But obviously, it's especially centered in this idea of how does the Adventist system, how do we as a system of believers, of schools, define wellness? And it's that fundamental issue of wellness. So sometimes we add names, sometimes we take them away. Here's a new name, University Wellness, and that's how their logo looks. Also, wellness ambassadors, some of you are or know a wellness ambassador. We have nearly 60 on this campus, but with the idea that these 60 will be embedded in all the right places to encourage our community, we need, I think, exactly 12 more, a full discipleship of ambassadors, and we will find you. And also, we are building wellness. This is from a few hours ago, so the pool is in now, but you can go online and watch it go up. As I mentioned, Dowry Payne, who has led us, and she said, well, she's going to tell you something about how I have been dragged into this campaign, partially because she says not everyone knows that we're married to each other. So if you didn't know that before, now you do. Dowry.
Okay, thanks. I just want to kind of give a recap of what we have done with our United Way campaign over the past, I guess it's been 11 years. I didn't realize it was that long until I looked on the computer files. So I've been helping to lead out the campaign for that long, but I, of course, have not done it by myself. We've had a really great group of campus group leaders that have been sort of situated throughout the campus to help get the good word about the work that United Way does out to each of your areas and to help you and be encouraged to participate, which means give money, which is the whole reason that we want to do it. So we've done a lot of things in the past just to try to generate the interest and the awareness. We've done the cheerleading at the corners, which I think we might continue this year. I don't know. Our campaign's going to be a little bit later, so it might be too dark. But we've had cheerleading at the corners. We've had an entry in the alumni parade. Our campus group leaders and a few other people on campus have actually come on an impact tour, and that's where a United Way rep takes us for a half a day, and we visit some of the agencies that are funded partners for United Way. And some of the places that we've visited, I'm not going to lie, it's hard to get out with a dry eye for most of them. The Berrien County Cancer Society, we've visited emergency shelters, the Women's Emergency Shelter. It's a pretty humble it's a pretty humble residence, and humble is an overstatement. But we visited there, and so some of our United Way dollars go there as well. The Logan Center for Autism, which is a really encouraging place to be when you can see what these kids have been able to accomplish through the help there. And the one that just never ceases to get me right in the heart is the Children's Assessment Center for Berrien County, and that's where kids who have reported sexual abuse, that's their first stop, so to speak. And so they've got everything all set up there where they have police officers, just representatives from all the necessary areas that get involved in cases like that. And a forensic therapist talks with the child, and there's a one-way mirror, two-way mirror. And so the child only has to tell their story once, and a CD is made as well as a DVD. So the only time they'll ever have to talk about what happened to them would then be in court. And even in the center, they've got a mini little courtroom, so they get to practice being in court. And they get to take, I forget the dog's name, but there's a dog that gets to go with them, and they're the boss of the dog for the day. And so the dog comes with them and sits them, and nobody can pet the dog without that child's permission. So they're given a sense of empowerment. So that is actually the house that's just on 139, about halfway between here and Benton Harbor. So if you've ever wondered what is going on at that house, sometimes you see police cars, that's what's going on in there. So they are also a funded partner of United Way, and it's when I visit places like that, it's what keeps me coming back to doing this part of it. And so I really appreciated all of the support. Let's see, what else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, our campaign usually in the early spring of each year, United Way has their annual campaign awards. And so all of the businesses that are involved with employee campaigns fill the Mendel Center. You'd be amazed at the number of businesses, big ones, little ones, medium-sized ones, that work diligently on their employee campaigns to be able to contribute to the cause. And overall, the campaign totals, I think now are topping $4 million for the year, kind of thing. So Andrews gets to play a part in that. And so we've received a number of awards for an outstanding campaign. We've received the David Wyhand Award for creativity and inspiration twice, which is kind of a special award. The first time we got that was due to a president jumping in the pool because with his business suit on, because we reached our campaign goal. And actually, not this president, our pool jumper is sitting right in front of me, and I actually looked at the pictures of it again today. I still have the video of it on my computer. So that was pretty amazing, and we overshot our goal by quite a bit that year, so it's obvious that the campus likes to see their president do crazy things for money. So, but just saying. So, but the other really great thing that you might be interested in is because, as I said, this Mendel Center is filled with all of these businesses, and when Andrews University's name gets called, and we get to go up and get an award, the rest of our community sees how much Andrews cares, and it puts us on the community map, and it makes me proud to be part of this place. And of course, we all know that every dollar raised in Berrien County stays in Berrien County. So that's a really great thing. So we've got some giving history here, just so you can see an overview of what we have raised. 2012 was the pool jump year, so we don't have that on there, but it was about $14,000, but with fewer donors. So we had a lot of people giving good money. So we've done well. Last year was a little bit weak, but it's still considered a really, really great campaign, and I'm looking forward to this year. I've asked Stephen to help me lead out the campaign this year, and so he's going to take it from here and give you, I have no idea what he's going to say.
So Dowry has a script and I don't, as you can tell. So here's my one story. There's many stories about Dowry, but I have the privilege now of traveling around the world. And you always kind of say, who do you know? And do you know Dr. Thorpe? Do you know Dr. Luxton? Do you know Dr. Arthur? Every once in a while, I'll say, oh, and by the way, my wife works in the president's office. Have you ever met her? And it is amazing to hear, and this is the power of good customer service. The stories, I sat with two gentlemen in Seoul last year, and they had a half hour of Dowry being nice in the president's office. And she wanted me to say that in front of the president. Now, there's a super great calendar out this year. And do we have any left? They're going fast. We have about 4 left, so be sure to drop by and pick them up. But it has a phrase in it that I believe that the president might use in her talk. So I'm sorry to steal one other point from her. But World Changers Made Here, we've been talking about that, and we've been living at that. And I'm seeing some of you that are models out here. And of course, especially as Andrews, world changers, we often and obviously think of the world. But the other point, and one of the stories in here is one that you've heard about, many of you have taken part in, is our friend Carlisle. The world he thought about changing, as you know, is right across the street. And it's interesting as you talk with people in the community. There's a major initiative right now. Is it Live Greatly? Is that the right name of it? Drive Greatness. And I was in a meeting with them earlier this week, and this is something that Lakeland and Whirlpool have been active in just within the last year. Andrews has dove into that. And I looked at a chart on the wall and the Post-it notes on all these different community needs. In particular, we're talking about bus systems and health and educational issues like the one Carlisle is working on. But they were all Andrew's names. And it's amazing to think United Way, as you may know, is about education and income and health and basic needs, the most basic stuff of life, some of it tragic, as Dowry shared with you. And so it's amazing, I think, to realize, of course, that they have a mission that's interwoven with ours. And so as we think about World Changers Made Here, I do not have permission from Tony Yang to do this, so forget you saw it. But I think this year we'll think a little bit about South Michigan World Changers Made Here. And we'll do the campaign from November 1 to 15, a little bit shorter than in the past. I don't know that it's like WAUS, that if we give a lot of money, I'll shut up. But we're going to do it faster this year. And now I'm done. Dr. Luxton, the show is yours.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Before I start the address, I just want to do the last kind of section here. Didn't want Stephen to have to talk about himself, but we have done some reorganizing and in the marketing and enrollment areas, and I want to just go through with you so you know who is where and how hopefully they're going to be able to serve you even more effectively with some of our reorganization. So we now have a president, a vice president for marketing and enrollment management. But those of you who were here last year will realize we've added the marketing to this mix. So this is now one unified group. And I think one of the things you'll notice that is the different here, the main thing that has changed here is this position here. Okay, so here we have Randy Graves. And in this new position here, we have Tony Yang. Is Tony here? Where are you, Tony? Wherever you are. Tony is back up there. Some of you may not have met Tony yet, but he's a great new addition to our team from the area of marketing. And everyone, all the groups listed under his name will be reporting to Tony. And this group here will be reporting directly to Randy. So you see kind of how we're doing it, trying to streamline this a little bit and hopefully bring some really, really good new ideas to the table as these groups collaborate and work more effectively together. So this is basically what I've just said, how we're going to reorganize in that area. And so Tony will be an associate vice president and also the chief marketing officer. So he'll hold kind of that dual role in that position. So what happens to the rest? What used to be IMC. IMC is now, we've had a peaceful retirement of IMC, and we now have instead the department, the office, Office of University Communication. Pat Spangler is the director of that team, and you will see on the board that everything that now will fall under that, okay? Now, all that fell under IMC before, but they also had some of the marketing. So marketing is now moved out. This is what this group here will be doing. And I think this is their new webpage that you'll see coming up soon, which kind of helps you get into some of the critical areas that they're going to be working with. And this one here is something you're also going to be seeing, because these two groups, even now though we've reorganized them, are still going to be working closely together. There'll be a project form that you can fill in that between Tony and Pat, they will look at this, decide where to go with it, and move things forward as soon as we can. So we hope you'll get a quick response to all your needs, and we've got a process here that will really help us ratchet up what we are trying to do to be responsive in the marketplace. And this now is Stephen's role. Stephen is now Special Assistant to the President for University and Public Affairs. His role is going to range in a number of areas. Still be dealing with all the crisis management, PR. He will be the individual who will be working still with the communication area. And he'll also be doing a lot with presenting the university in public arenas, both nationally and internationally, and particularly as we develop more partnerships with institutions internationally. So that will be his role in a time when our voice and the way we present ourselves out there is so critical. Finally, there is a new social media policy. Very, very difficult arena for us all to navigate, especially those of us who dabble in this but aren't professionals in it. We will have it up on our web for you to look at. It will be operational as it stands, but having said that, we do want this to be something that you engage with by maybe both the faculty senate and staff senate areas. Give us additional feedback so we can make changes and adjust as we need to, but we hope this will move something forward. All right, I think we get now to what I wanted to say to you. And I've called this the path to irresistible. Some of you may remember that word comes in our strategic plan. It was the most debated word when we put the strategic plan together, interestingly enough. Irresistible. Some people said, you can't talk about irresistible, and some people like the word. Well, I like the word. This is going to be my favorite word this year. So the path to irresistible is really tied in with what I've been talking about since I came here, which is the power of our story and moving our story and also navigating our own path forward. If we don't create our own narrative, others will create it for us. Very, very important that we have a narrative, that we know what that narrative is, and we're on the same page with that narrative, and we can communicate it. And what I really want to do today in a moment is kind of use the strategic plan as a frame. But first of all, say to you, do you even know what's happening on this campus? It's amazing. Every time I do something and I email people, say, hey, can you give me some examples? I get back all these things, and some of which I don't know. And sometimes I think we don't know how many great things are happening on this campus. So I want to talk a little bit about frame of the kind of ways we are responding to our own plan, so that you out there can say, hey, you know what's happening at Andrews? And actually know. And then towards the end, I want to say, and what are the 4 main things that we've got to really, really focus on as we move into this next year? To frame my story, I frame what I say. I wanted to give you this illustration. I saw this summer. I saw it in Ukraine. But when I looked at it, it didn't look like that. It looked like a little blob. Because what you see there is a human hair. A human hair that has been drilled through lengthwise. It's been polished inside and out, so it's transparent. And inside has been put a rose. The flower is 0.05 milliliters in diameter. and the stem is 0.005 milliliters in diameter. Phenomenally beautiful. You can only see it through a microscope. And I was in a museum where there were many, many of these objects. I'm going to talk about them a little bit, by the way, in convocation. To me, finding this museum was a gift. And I know if I go back to Kiev, I want to go back there. It was an irresistible call to something that was beautiful. It had detail, beautiful detail, but there was also the whole, seen beautifully as a whole, had creativity, and it was beautifully executed. So I'm going to suggest this. The what makes Andrews University irresistible is our shared vision, executed deliberately by every individual with passion and joy. That, I think, is what makes us irresistible and can make us irresistible. Stephen has mentioned the frame, World Changes Made Here, and as we frame this new kind of tagline this year, I think some of these same ideas were there. We want to be a place where there is such passion and energy and vision that our students get changed, transformed by that, and leave with that same passion to make a difference elsewhere. So back to that phrase again. What makes Andrews University irresistible is the shared vision. Shared, that's all of us, executed deliberately, intentionally, by every individual with passion and with joy. Today I met some of our incoming freshmen. It was interesting as I went around and talked to them, I could count at least 3 conversations just that happened when something like one young man who said, I know 3 people who graduated from, in this case it was architecture, the architecture program, and they're doing this, this, and this, and this, and I want to be one of them. I had to come to Andrews. Other 2 stories were very, very similar. All right, so that's what we're talking about. So the next 10 minutes, I'm going to go through this really quite quickly, but I just want to give you a fleeting glance of just a small amount of the ways that on this campus, many of you are fulfilling the mission, the vision of the university through the kind of strategic visions and actions and storylines that we have right now. This is the first one. To live, work, or study at Andrews University will mean active engagement in a community that is passionate about being a caring, inclusive, healthy community of faith. There's so much there we could talk about for the next 3 hours. And so much that is happening. Thank you very much to George Knight for really talking a little bit about this morning, particularly that caring aspect and how critical that is to the core of who we are. Inclusive, very, very critical. It's not a soft word. It's not a soft or liberal word. Sometimes people think it's a liberal word. It's not. It's a biblical word about making everyone feel they have a place. Healthy, we've talked a little bit about that. And of course, a community of faith. Just a few of the things. Wellness center on its way up. Wellness ambassadors, we've been talking about that. Full fellowship, which is now a dedication, Sabbath dedication. Hope you're all able to join us for that. Survey we did of all our students last year, which really, really helped us frame what we can do moving forward. I don't know if you've seen the proximity app that comes out of the chaplain's office. Amazing. Little app on your phone that gives you devotional every day. Very, very good. The Senates. Something that we hope gives more voice and inclusion to everybody. Our Heart at Andrews Awards, it's interesting how when I go around the country, people know about this. I hear more talked about elsewhere than I even do here, which is interesting. And just a glimpse into the future, we're already setting plans combined with our wellness program and our diversity office to have a summit next spring dealing with the whole issue of abuse and abuse in the church and so on, how we deal with it. That whole sense of trying to build a community that is caring, inclusive, healthy, very much part of who we are. We're on the pathway towards that. The second one is about who we are in our community and in the church and in higher education. And we've already heard a lot about what we're doing in our community, but we're doing more than just our community. Here's just one of many, many new projects that's happening between STEM and trying to reach out to the teachers in our K-12 system with a special program that will take off next year. There we are. That's it. Okay. And then what about some of these things? Our community engagement initiatives. Desmond Murray's done a load of things in that area, so have many others, and we're really, really moving forward. Change Day, have another one this year. They're making a difference in our community. Mass Intensive this summer for Benton Harbor schools. Some of the children came to our campus to do that. Our partnerships with multiple Adventist universities that are growing by the day, literally, our partnerships to bring students here. We had a virtual online campus conference this year for the first time between SDEIP here and Montemorelos University. And how about this group? This is a group of our Taiwan Chinese students who were here this summer on one of the many trips they had. As Stephen mentioned, we had so many people going through this campus this summer. What I'm trying to say by this is, in so many different areas of the campus, people are responding to this strategy to recognize that we are not on an island and that we have a role wider, broader than ourselves. Many of you involved in that, thank you. And this is just a small amount of what is happening. Our third and fourth storylines relate to teaching. This is about the competition that's out there and what makes us different, what we have to do, a flexible, engaging learning environment, using innovative and time-honored means to do what we do in the classroom and beyond. And the result will be a transformational education experience. And again, I think Dr. Knight did a wonderful job of talking about some of that this morning. And this one is kind of partner. And this is where the irresistible word comes in. As students have multiple options for their education, Andrews University must provide a student environment that makes the Andrews University choice irresistible. That's a nice word. Irresistible. And again, so much to do. And again, I'm going to flip through these very quickly. Just again, as an idea of how we are really, really trying to live this mission, this vision in every day. This is just one of the many, many projects the School of Distance Education is involved in working in this case with the School of Education to try and set up a new frame for tracking different things that will support their program. Architecture. On one side here you see students, I think this must be in Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rico time when they went down to help with the hurricane there. And I don't know if all of you have seen this. It's their clinic in a container that they are building. The students are building in their 5th year that are being sent out. I think this year is to Swaziland and last year was Congo or the other way around. Amazing things they are doing to make this experience very unique. School of Business Administration, I won't read all of this, you can read it as I'm talking. But again, look at the engagement and the success of students, both individually and also as a group, as the School of Business tries to again give an excellent education, prepare people for the marketplace, prepare people to make a difference going on. And of course, the launch of the first Innovation and Entrepreneurship Certificate kind of started coming out of the School of Business. So great, some things happening there. School of Education. You know, we get so many lists of all of these rankings. Sometimes they pass us by. But again, great success in the School of Education in positioning their programs to make a difference and some of their rankings. School of Health Professions, if I would say one thing about them this year, it's been accreditation, 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 and accreditation in so many different areas. And again, the successes show the quality of what they're trying to achieve in moving them forward. And also you'll see a little note at the bottom there. One of the faculty in the health professions area spearheaded an application for us to be identified as a minority serving institution. That normally means you have to have 50% or more minority students, and that's very tightly identified as what can be in that group. We were like 49.5 or 49.9, we were right under, so they turned us down. So they appealed it and got it through. And this is very, very helpful to us in grants and applications, so something else they're doing. And of course, we can't forget the seminary, doing many, many things. And of course, this is one of their trips to Cuba. They've been to Cuba for a number of years now. And this is just one of the pictures of the bikes, in this case, that they fund as part of what they do to help the lay people in Cuba in ministry. And here is some of those that were being baptized there. A huge amount of things happening. I could stand up here, and this is not an exaggeration, I could stand up here for the next 2 hours and list off to you the wonderful things that are happening all around this campus to fulfill the mission and vision of Andrews, and to make a difference for our students so they can indeed make a difference when they leave here. Please do. Try and get in the habit of giving yourself 15 minutes a week of looking on our website, looking on agenda to actually see what reports are going up there. Because I think it will encourage you. It will encourage you when you're feeling tired in your area and you think nothing is happening, or you think, what good is coming out of Andrews? If you get in one of those depressed moments sometime, have a look. And then when you hear anything negative said about Andrews out there, let me tell you a few things about what Andrews University is doing. Boom, 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 and just let them have it back, okay? Because there is so much good that is going on. Our fifth and final storyline is one that is more visionary, kind of projected in the future, but it is really looking at some of our areas of need when it comes to spaces to really be appropriate spaces for what we need to achieve. And these are some of the areas that are out there. The Wellness Center, of course, is well on its way. The Architecture Building is well on its way. The other three beneath that are our next areas of focus. Oh, I haven't put them up there, have I? Sorry. There we are. Here they are. First two on their way. Next three are our areas of focus. Innovation, we have some intriguing ideas that we're exploring. We need to make sure that our campus continues to be enriched to meet all our other visions and goals. All right, so now the 4 challenges. Things we really need to focus on as we head into this next year. We have done a lot financially over the last few years to try and stabilize in a very unstable higher education marketplace. We've had quite a lot of successes, and please do not believe some of the stories I hear out there which says, when everyone doesn't like something we're doing, they say something like this, well, no wonder their enrollment is just dropping through the floor. That's not true. If you actually look at how many students we served last year, we served as many students as we did the year before and the year before. They look different, and the challenge is they may be bringing us less money. When I say look different, they may be a distance education. They may be more graduate students than undergraduate students. The profile is different. The numbers are strong. It's particularly in some areas, but it has put us under financial pressure. We have a budget this year, and it is very critical that this year's budget holds. Right now, all the signals are that it will. But I know it has not been easy on many of us. And really, I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for your patience as we have worked through this turbulence of finance. That is not just ours, but that's the one that's closest to home to us. We're already beginning to project our budget for a year from now. And that is looking really way promising. Okay? So I'm not going to promise this, but my feeling is that we are coming up and out. But we've still got to be thinking very carefully and vigilantly about the choices we make financially, and really be focused on recognizing that, it kind of hang on, and as the plane is jerking around, you just have to hang on tight sometimes. And that, I feel it's been a little bit like that. But I think we are moving forward, and I want to thank you and encourage you to keep working with us as we continue to make sure we can be healthy. I use the word resilient there because that's what we really need. We need a budget that is resilient enough that it can take a little bit of that bumping and it holds. That's what we're aiming and moving towards. Okay. Secondly, I put here the consistent culture of heart. This is so important to us, our culture. That's eventually what makes people feel this place is irresistible. It was irresistible to come, and it's irresistible now I'm here. Whether it's an employee or whether it's a student. There are a few kind of symbolic things we have done to try and say how important this is. One of them is the Heart Awards. Another one that I hear about everywhere I go are the tea parties. Interesting, even in Chicago recently, I had people come up and said, "Oh, your tea parties are such a wonderful idea." One student came rushing across the janitorial last year because his mother had tweeted him online and said, "You've got to get over there. You haven't made any of the others. You've got to go to this one." Both mother and son were at our meeting recently. And I'm going to give you a plug here because I want you to think about this one. So we're going to continue. 2 years ago, we did afternoon tea. Last year, we did 11s. This year, we're going to go back to afternoon tea. But this is what we're going to do. We want to find the most unusual places on campus that people haven't gone to and have them there. All right? So if you have an unusual place and you want to host a tea party from our office, send us some emails. And we're going to see what we can do. We had some ideas, we're probably a little bit too far way out, but we've got some intriguing ones that we're playing with. And we thought this would be a good way of building community too, to get people to go somewhere they don't usually go. So anyway, so that's what we're going to do on that one this year. We're also going to continue with our stories. Again, people off the campus have access to that probably as much as people on the campus. And really, really like the sense of the stories that we have been putting out. And we have, as you know, we have a stories webpage that's up there that you can get online and look at. Because it talks about who we are as a group of people, what's important to us, and who are some of the people that make us who we are. So we want to continue that. But those three things, some form of Heart Awards. Some of you have already been saying, can we nominate people yet again for this coming year? We'll be putting out something soon on that. So the tea parties and the stories, all those three are just symbolic of the importance that we want to put on every individual who is part of our campus. It's what we're saying to say we want to engage with each other, we want to hear people's voices, we want to make everyone feel that they have a role and a part to play in the university, just not now, but for the future. At the end of the day, though, it is each of us. Going back to my first vision statement, it is every individual following through with a passion. That's about each of us and the way we interact. And again, I couldn't have, it was said so nicely this morning. Especially when we're tired. And it's so critical to feel we're in part of something that is bigger than just what we do. Sometimes that can give us the energy to smile when we don't feel like smiling, to care when we don't feel like caring, to represent Christ's character when we're just feeling like we want to go home and go to bed. That's about who we are, and I thank you for that. Collaboration and community. That's what this last weekend was about in Chicago. Question was asked, as a university system, well, we're not really a system yet, are we? If we were a university system in North America, would that make us stronger? That was really at heart what the conversation was about. And if we did that, what would that system look like? It was very clear in those conversations that there was no talk about, shutting down this school or that school. That was not the conversation. It was about ways of deepening any sense of collaboration and engagement and really being a win-win for all of us. That was really the focus. It's a difficult conversation because we do compete. And that competition, at the end of the day, no one wins. Right? And so I firmly believe that there is more we can do, whether it's at a North American structural level or whether it's between us and another university. I think there's much more we can do to have a win-win situations. Another statement that I want to reflect from this morning was the fact that the most important people in all this dynamic is who? The students. And so if that is our most important dynamic, we have a responsibility at Andrews, at Southern, at Walla Walla, wherever, to make the decisions that are, as at the end of the day, is going to enrich the lives of our students, expand our pool of students, and be able to make a difference in more lives in more effective ways. That's really what the conversation was about. And that's a conversation that will continue. There's a kind of timeline to kind of have a conversation on our campuses, to ask someone to serve as a liaison in further conversations, etc. But irrespective of the North American conversation, I also had conversations with several of the presidents and agreed that no matter what happened there, we needed to be doing more between here and here or here and here to see what we could do more effectively. We already have some plans underway. This is really, really critical to us because at the end of the day, with the changing environment we're in, we really, really need to do that. That is one of the ways that we can keep our institutions strong, that we can manage some of our financial tensions, and that we can respond to what other schools are doing. The fourth and final one I've got here is communicating our message. And that's one of the reasons why in Stephen's new role, I'm hoping that he will be able to have even more time to really focus on the messaging of the university and help us know how to put that message out there. There is so much wrong information. And as you all know, you need 10 good messages to put paid to one bad message. Sometimes nowadays, I think it's more like 50 good messages to get rid of one bad message. And someone will put out a thoughtless Twitter comment or a thoughtless comment online that maligns something, and sadly, people believe it. They don't ask anything. They just assume for some reason that, well, it's got to be true. And everyone starts slamming when it's not actually the truth. So what am I saying by all that? To me, the only way to counteract that type of environment is to put so much good stuff out there, so much of the true message out there, so much of our own story, our own narrative out there, that is consistently stronger than any undertow that wants to pull things another direction. And the comments are about Adventist education as a whole. Sometimes they're about Andrews. Sometimes they're about individuals who work here. It doesn't matter, Let's not focus on responding so much to the negative, but communicating the positive. And that's where all of you are the advocates. That's why I said, take 5 minutes to look online and see what amazing things are happening. So you can actually be proud of being a part of Andrews University, and that pride and what you know can be pushed out there and shared with other people. If you're tweeters, tweet. Tweet something positive that happens in your area. Put stuff out there, okay? Let people understand that we are not hidden behind a wall in Berrien Springs, Michigan, but we are way, way, way more than that, impacting lives, changing lives, impacting communities around us. So what makes Andrews University irresistible is the shared vision, executed deliberately by every individual with passion and joy. And I'm going to finish, but we have about 5 minutes if anybody would like to ask anything. Any questions? Jacqueline. That was discussed on, yes, it was, there were, those conversations were there. And that was discussed probably more among different college groups than from the front. But there was that sense that maybe in business, for an example, what would it like to have a Doctor of Business Administration across North America if we recognized that we have so many strengths, but they're spread right now. And with the type of education we can do nowadays, that we should be able to do those types of things. And be willing to recognize that every institution has a strength that they can bring to the table, and together we may be stronger. Yeah. Good question. Anything else? So I'm going to read the silence as everyone is happy, but not everyone wants to just go home. All right. Please know that you know where I am. You know where my email is. Everyone else outside the university seems to manage to get to me. So please feel free to comment anytime. There is nothing I like better than someone walking through the door and saying, I've got an idea, what do you think? My door's also open if you want to come in and complain as well, or give suggestions. But please feel free to engage, because we are stronger as we engage with each other. We really are. I so much value the uniqueness that each of you brings to Andrews University. You have strengths. I can't possibly begin to have the strengths that you have individually in your areas and your knowledge and understanding. And so we are all stronger as we work together and as we recognize each other's strengths. So thank you very much. And why don't we just stand and pray together? Our Lord and our God, we are about to start another year. We have students who are already here and arriving on campus. They're excited and energized for the new year. They are here wanting us to work alongside with them so that they can be better, go further, do more, learn more about you, and help us to know how to partner with them. Give us wisdom. Give us your love. Give us an understanding of compassion. Help us to represent you in the workplace as we relate to each other and as we connect to the students that are coming our way. Bless each one in this room, and thank you very much, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you all very much.